Hey, ColeoWithARolleo here, and in light of skill-based matchmaking getting taken out, I decided I would come out with a tip video outlining 10 ways that you can be better at Destiny 2. I feel like these 10 small tips are definitely going to help your game-to-game performance and hopefully up your KD. The first tip I want to give in this video is to slide more. And I know what you're thinking, why slide more? Well, actually, there's a very good few reasons for that. For one, it makes your hitbox smaller. And as you can imagine, if you have a smaller hitbox, then it's going to be harder for people to shoot you. This is very helpful when you're going out of cover or you're trying to close the gap on someone, which is why you see people slide shotgun. The day I started sliding, it made my gameplay increase drastically. It's so much harder for people to hit you when you're sliding, but obviously you're not invincible. This is just a little thing that is definitely going to help you out and make sure that people don't get all their shots off on you. The next tip I have is starting to position your reticle at where you think the enemy's head will be. This probably seems like a very small thing, but actually it will have a big increase on how many people you kill and how many crits you hit. If you're turning a corner and your reticle is practically on the ground, do you think it's going to be easy to hit someone in the head and kill them quickly? No, it's going to be really difficult. So, if you start aiming your reticle where you think people's heads will be, then you're going to be able to correct yourself much easier and maybe even just be dead on their head. It really helps getting those crits, and it helps getting kills in general. My third tip I have for this video is I think you should definitely start strafing more. Strafing is when you move side to side during a gunfight, and at first it's really going to be difficult to land your shots while you're moving, but there's a big payoff for it. It's going to be harder for them to hit your shots on you, and once you're accurate enough to hit your shots, then they're going to be missing shots and you're going to be hitting shots, and you're going to be winning. This honestly is one of the biggest things that changes the tide of a gunfight, and you should definitely get better at it. Now my fourth tip is kind of obvious, but definitely worth bringing up. My fourth tip of this video is to get better aim. You see, this doesn't happen overnight. You can't just hit the kovacs and suddenly be better. But what you can do is use precision-based weapons to increase your accuracy. That includes hand cannons and scout rifles. I personally use a hand cannon a lot because it definitely helps me hit those headshots more consistently, and when I switch over to something like an auto, it's super easy. Now for this to work out, you definitely need to be patient because this doesn't happen just overnight, but it's definitely something you should work on. Now my fifth point I have for you guys is to try and predict your enemy more. And that probably sounds a lot harder than it seems, but after you get the hang of understanding how people play, you can really read a player and use it to your advantage. You should definitely start looking at the things they continuously do, like jump over doorways or how they slide, and you can definitely take advantage of that knowledge to take down your opponents. In addition to this, you should definitely try and mix up how you play too to counteract other players who are doing the same thing. Now before we move on to the sixth tip, I want to shout out my boy Assassin J and the things he's got in the works. I know he's working on some sort of montage, and he definitely has an ISO video in the works, so you should definitely go through my channel, go into the people that I'm friends with, and give him a sub because he has some great things coming. I'm really excited for where he's going with this channel. I'm going to try and remember to put a link to his channel in the description, and if I forget to do that, sorry Jay. Anyways, to the sixth tip. The sixth thing you should use to be better as a player ties in actually really well to the fifth tip. It's to use your radar more. Your radar is going to show the general direction of where your enemies are at, and you can use it to predict exactly where they are in game. And this will be a very useful tool in strategizing and just knowing where everyone is. A good thing to know about the radar is that when you're crouching, you are essentially off the radar for a second. Same with invis, and same for a little bit with sliding. You could definitely use this to your advantage to pouncing on players, and also use it to know where players are at practically all times. Now the 7th tip is definitely a big factor on how I got better. My 7th tip for you is to play against your friends or play against better players. By doing this, you're going to be able to learn from other people on how you can improve your gunplay, and it will also help them at the same time. It's just a nice way to start getting better aim, start being able to read people better, and practically practice everything I said in this list. My 8th tip I have is to use the sky more. Now, I bet you're kind of afraid to take your feet off the ground, considering the in-air accuracy in this game is trash. But, granted you have Icarus mods on your guns, it can actually be very useful. Going to the sky is going to make it harder for you to get hit, and probably make you more unpredictable. Airplay is a big thing that separates the good players from the bad, and if you can be accurate in air, or at the very least utilize it to your advantage, you're definitely going to have a better time in the Crucible. The 9th tip that I think is going to drastically improve your gameplay is using your abilities more effectively. Now, I see two types of players. Players who don't use their abilities enough, or players who use their abilities too much. And I think you just need to find balance between both. I personally find abilities are most optimally used to either finish someone off or prime someone before you start attacking them. Just a rule of thumb. Now before we get into my 10th and final tip on how to be better at Crucible, I just want to ask you guys to comment if you're enjoying this type of video, and also to subscribe if you're enjoying my videos. Now, with that out of the way, the 10th tip is going to blow your socks off. The last and probably most easy to implement tip I have for you is to optimize your gear. As you're going to see on the screen right now, all of my hunter's stats are quite well optimized. I try to round them off as close to multiples of 10s as I can. And on my armor, I use mods that increase the effectiveness of the guns I use. This small but easy thing will make your guns play better and make you play better. These perks should not be overlooked, and you should definitely go on your armor right now before you go into another game and optimize them for the guns you're using. Literally the second I started putting on these mods, I felt a huge difference in my gameplay. My gun started feeling better, and I felt like I was able to play better. So this is definitely something you should keep in mind. And that about does it for my tip video. Please, tell me in the comments if you enjoyed this type of content and if you'd like any more tip videos. I'd love to help people out in the community get better at the Crucible. If you're new here and you enjoyed this video, I'd urge you to subscribe. I'm going to try and make more content like this and more content that you guys will enjoy. But this has been ColeoWithARolleo, and I'll see you in the Crucible. Peace.